Hello everyone, this is my 8th video for ED 455. Today we talked about magnet schools as comparative to public, charter, and private schools. Our class seemed to like magnet schools when we tried to figure out the pros and cons of instituting magnet school reform on a national basis. We found less negatives than we have previously in charter school reforms as well as traditional school reforms. I think the negatives of having charter school reforms, having a privatized sector, having the major stake in charter schools, kind of gave us a negative sense of where a negative sense of a national school reform charter wise, because of uncertain economic markets, because of having one funder, having a large stake in decision-making processes and what is in the curriculum in private school and charter schools. This was much more, because magnet schools get all their funding from public sector, we found that that would actually be a much better way to deal with achievement gap and minority stratification. That magnet schools really deal with these issues much better than private charter or public school education as it is today. One thing we really found in magnet schools is that if you have a clear thematic point to your school, whether it's a language immersion, whether it's social activism or social justice, or chess, or some kind of arts element, it gives students and teachers agency in the sense of wanting to and being a part of that school. Having this connection towards your school allows for better retention. However, offhand, we finally and we figured out that magnet schools are often not better academically than public schools, which kind of gives the credence that we still have a lot of ways to go in terms of ed reform, because magnet schools do not perform any higher than public schools, so why would you choose magnet schools? We also discussed again American Promise last night and how intense it was, the dichotomies that were presented, how different angles of what audience needs to be watching this video. Does it further the conversation for low-income minority students and their place in a private all-white school? You know, what are the implications and what are the negative problems of being just one black student in an all-white school, one Latino student in an all-white school? And so this kind of goes back to the fact that there's no that diversity is something that's so is very concerning to the white population, but not very much to minorities. And you can see this because there's not many white families, if any white families, that will move their children from an all-white school into a black school or into a Latino school, when we see countless videos of the opposite, or the reverse of this, where you have minorities going into or poor students going into higher elevated students because of test scores and so on, and their livelihood. And the fact of the matter is, it's very stressful and very problematic to have, or to be one of the only people, the token black student, because you have to represent not only yourself, maybe your gender, your race. It's just you have to represent a whole community, whereas if you that might not be the real reaction from the whole community. This kind of bled into our reading, where what if we decided not to have diversity as a major prominent factor in schooling? With Harlem Children's Zone, Geoffrey Canada really aimed at focusing on the worst, the poorest students, having a huge number of African Americans, and obviously because of his Harlem, but he really emphasized the importance of having a select homogenous group and working on them. He had an incredible amount of stamina and persistence and determination to get Harlem Children's Zones passed, and it's worked numbers for their community. Um, so that's we see that there's maybe other alternatives than just magnet schools.